Guys, what you are looking at amongst all these pedals is the JOYO Technologies PXL4 looper switcher pedal. I want to take you through how I have it set up and what it can do for you in just a minute. But first, I kind of need to explain the layout here. Now, this is a Holy board, the pedal board. It's a Holy board by Chemistry Design Works. And on it, I've got my flavor of the month pedals. These pedals I am currently using, and I love them when I jam with friends, when I record, whatever it is I'm doing. This is the pedal board. And it's cool because I've kind of been able to strip it down and set it up just the way I want it, thanks to the PXL4 from JOYO. So the way, let me just talk you through the way it's set up, because in the video you're about to see, it can be kind of confusing. It's not about the pedals, it's not about what's going on, it's about the ease in which you can get insanely different sounds with just the click of a button. Now, the PXL4 allows 2 sounds, A or B, and it has 8 different banks. Now, you can bring 4 different loops in and out. Now, a loop can be a single pedal, or it can be a loop of pedals. So you can imagine the different ways in which you can set this thing up. A few ways that came off the top of my head is if you're like in a cover band and you need to be specific to the recordings, your guitar, bass, or keyboard parts, then you can literally have 8 different banks, which would be 8 different kinds of guitar tones, and each bank of course has an A or a B, so you can click your boost in and out, or different effects for your solo, maybe a delay unit or something like that. Another way is the way that I've got it set up. I like to have multiple overdrives in front of my amp, and then and different distortions and fuzzes as well. And then in the effects loop, I like to have delay, reverb, and tremolo. The way I have it set up today is more like I'm inclined to do, with not 1 but 2 overdrives, a distortion, and a fuzz that is set to just crazy fuzz. And then I've also got a Donner Alchemy here set up for a univibe in front of the amp, just so that when I switch between A and B, you can hear the univibe coming in. It's on B, just the univibe, or the Alchemy by Donner. In the effects loop is a carbon copy and a VHT tremolo verb, which is a tremolo and a reverb. I just have that here so I can play with the different sounds, go through my pickups and things, which you're about to see. It's confusing because a lot of the time you're not going to know exactly which pedals are on, because they're all on, right? All of the ones in front of the amp. So let's see how these are laid out, because it can be confusing. All of the time I go into this Ross compressor, and then I come out and I go into the Monty Alam's OD308 overdrive pedal. This is a do-it-yourself pedal that I just recently put together, and I'm in love with it, and I reviewed it on the website just like I did the Holy board from Chemistry Design Works. Make sure you check those posts out. So those are going to be on all the time, no matter what loop I'm in. The Ross compressor and the OD308 overdrive are always going to be on. In bank 1, I have nothing on, but I wanted to show you how bringing in the univibe is simple. It's just a click away, but that would be in order. So bank 1 is just the Ross, the OD, and every time I hit B, it's going to be the univibe, no matter what bank I'm in. When I'm in bank 2, I'm sorry, I went the wrong way. When I'm in bank 2, I bring in the Luther drive. This is an overdrive pedal. Gearman Dude of YouTube fame and fortune builds these and sells them on his website. I love it. It's a tube screamer, tweaked and upgraded. All of the knobs sound great all of the way through. So anyway, that's my second overdrive, and that's on 2. Of course, 2A is going to be the Luther drive on loop 1. And when I hit B, it's going to bring in what's on loop 4, and that is the Donner Univibe. So when I go to bank 3 and I click on A, it's going to bring in the modded Boss DS1 pedal. This is the distortion pedal that I modded. It was the first mod I've ever done. It took me 2 tries. what can I say about it? It's upgraded, but it's a distortion pedal. So that's going to be on loop number 2. And when I, of course, hit B on bank 3, loop 2, it's going to be the Univibe. Going up to bank 4 is going to bring in the Chode Blaster Fuzz pedal by Henrietta Engineering. Again, I reviewed this on the website. It's a great fuzz. I love it because of the EQ section. That's going to be on 3. Now, once you go beyond here, bank 4, when you go to bank 5, this is where the magic happens. I have the distortion and the Luther drive on. Just one click, mind you. And then, of course, on B, I have the Alchemy by Donner Pedals, the Univibe. And then going up a bank, and you can imagine how confusing and hard this would be in a live situation. I've just brought in the Chode and the Luther drive, as well as all of, what's always on, these two. So now I'm playing through these two pedals. When I click B, the Univibe comes on. Moving up to 7, these two are going to be on, the distortion and the Chode. And of course B, the Alchemy Donner pedal, or the Donner Alchemy, I'm sorry. And then of course 8, when I click on, it's going to be these 3 pedals engaged. I should say all of the overdrive, fuzz, and distortion on, which I would probably not recommend doing. And then of course B is going to bring in the Univibe. This is all in front of the amp. Again, I need to remind you of that. These 2 pedals are in the effects loop. Let me tell you, you're going to see something about this that's fantastic. Sometimes when you're playing a song, you need to hold a note or a chord for a long time, and then all of a sudden you have a tone change when you come into the next part. This thing is fantastic because I can go from, all the way clean or with one overdrive, and I can go up here to bank 6, and it's still the same sound until I click on this A, and then it changes. So I can get things ready before the part comes. It lets the tails continue, and that's what I really, really like about this pedal, because that's what I want it to do. Another cool thing is if you want it bypassed to tune or whatever, you just click the button once, bypassed, click it again, you're playing in action, no matter where you're at. So that is extremely handy to do A/B tests, to do tunings, to see where your volume is really at, see if a pedal's acting up, whatever you need to do. And it might, I think if this is the first time you've ever seen this kind of a setup, it might be confusing and you might not get your head around how you can use it. This thing is simple once you program and set it up. It couldn't be any easier to program. I mean, all I have to do is click on a bank, let's say bank 3 and A, and I can see what's going on. I have L2 is on, which is the distortion pedal. If I don't like that, I can edit it, and I can turn on all the pedals, just L2, L3, and L4. You see how I do it, and when I'm done, I store it. Couldn't be any easier to set up and to use. I love it. Another way you could use this is just your effects loop, send and return. Can you imagine all of your different sends and returns could be loops of pedals? It doesn't have to be just one pedal. It could be your Univibe into your carbon copy is loop 1. Loop 2 could be my Chode Blaster Fuzz into a tremolo. 3 could be my compression into, the sky's the limit here, guys. So many ways to use these. Now, they also come in an 8 and a Pro level too. The 8 has A, B, C, and D, as well as 8 banks, I believe. So that pretty much doubles all of your presets that you can have. As well as that, they make pedals with way more loops. I think there's 8 loops in the 8. And you can do amp switching and all kinds of MIDI features if you guys have the MIDI pedals. I haven't gotten the MIDI pedals just yet, but when I do, I know there's a JOYO Technologies pedal waiting for me to grow as well. Now I have this on my board in the place of a few pedals. I need to get another power supply, and when I do, this is all I need on the stage. I can have all of my pedals even in a box way off the stage, and all I will need is this looper in front of me, or maybe a PXL8 or the Pro model where I can have 8 loops, and this is all you need unless you're set up like I am today where I have an effects loop not going through here. Like I said, this controls everything in front of my amp today, so let's get right to the video. Again, JOYO, this is the PXL4 from JOYO Technologies, and it is a lifesaver. It ends the tap dance that is required when you're playing, and if you play and sing, this thing is going to be your new best friend, because you don't have time to concentrate on your singing when you're doing the tap dance and everything. So check it out. Let's get into the audio portion.